Hello everyone and welcome to the second day of our bootcamp. So I'm very excited today and we are going to start right away. But before we do, I just want to confirm if everyone is able to hear me properly, if the audio is right. So I have a cup of coffee as well. Yesterday we had a session of around 2.5 hours, and now I need some drinks along with the session so that I can continue. So, where is everyone joining us from? Can you please tell us in the chat? USA, India, Nepal, Denmark, Canada, Saudi Arab, Kuwait, Russia. Hi Hassan, good evening. Good evening. Washington. Oh, Washington. Yes. Croatia. Is that correct? Cancun, Mexico, Africa, Siberia, Sri Lanka, Chennai, Azerbaijan, Turkey. I feel like I'm naming all the countries in the world. I'm very glad that we have such a diverse audience, and there's somebody from Mars as well. From Mars near with you. That's good. From Punjab, from Mars, Pakistan, Hyderabad. So we have a lot of viewers from a lot of different countries. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are on day 2 of our boot camp and we will learn a lot of new things today and it will be very exciting. We are on a journey of learning Python and we have started with the basics yesterday. And now we are going to continue and see where the road leads us. Can you please provide on day 1 what is syllabus? If you provide curriculum, then we can be prepared for the class and enjoy the process of learning. What's on the plan today, Rihanna? Okay, so answering the first question, yes, we do have day 1 here. So this is our website, CV Zone, Computer Vision Zone. You can go ahead and log in. So if you didn't log in, it will say here, log in or register. Excuse me. Then you can simply log in and this is the bootcamp page. You will click on it and it will take you here. Now here you will see all of this content, but when you hover over it, it will say you do not have access. And all you have to do is there is a button here, you have to enroll. So click on that. Sometimes the color changes of the button. We need to fix that on the website. So bear with us and hopefully we'll fix it next time around. But for now, it might be a little bit not clear. So make sure you click on the enroll button and then you will simply have all this content in front of you. So we have prerequisites that are the installations that are required for this bootcamp. Then we have day 1, whatever we have done, and day 2 is today that we will be conducting. What is NVIDIA Nim for generative AI? Okay, I will explain that as well. So we will go step by step and I will explain a little bit right now. Then later on, I will explain a bit as well. So first of all, if you go to day 1, you are going to see that this is the live stream of day 1. It was a long live stream. Then you also have the PDF file that we used for the explanation where it was very interesting to see the hello world example in machine code, then in assembly language, then in C, and then in Python. So it was a great comparison of how they turned out, how big the code has to be in order to achieve the same results in different languages. So that's why we are learning Python, right? So it's so easy to learn. And then we also have chapter 1 installations, and we have chapter 2 basic.py, all of the code is here. You can simply double click it and it will become editable. You can remove it and you can go back. No, it will not remove, but yeah, it becomes editable. So you can simply copy the part you want when you double click on it. Then we have our project that we did yesterday, addition calculator. Today we are going to do the next part of this calculator, and we will make it completely functionable, right? Oh, functional. We'll make it completely functional so that it is like a normal calculator and not just addition calculator. So it will be an actual calculator that you can use. Now, moving on, again, you can get access to all of this for free on our website, and that is pretty much it. And then we do not have anything on day 2 right now because we are in day 2. Now, we also have 20% off for only our bootcamp learners. So if you are one of the ones who has registered for our bootcamp, you will get access to this. You will click on it and there will be a special coupon code that you can use to get any of our premium courses with 20% off. So if you go to our course pages, and there you will see you have a lot of paid courses and a lot of free courses as well. So free courses you can enroll for free, but for the paid ones you can get 20% off only if you have enrolled in this bootcamp. Now I will not click on this because it will show the what do you call the coupon code. So if you have registered, then only you will be able to see. Now these registrations will close once we finish the bootcamp. So then not everyone will have the access to this. Then we have the NVIDIA Nims. Now this bootcamp is hosted by NVIDIA as well as OpenCV University. Now, if you have not seen OpenCV is the largest computer vision library out there, and they have an OpenCV University that has amazing courses that you can use. And if you participate in the contest, you will be getting some gifts, some prizes from OpenCV University as well. So this is their link. This is the OpenCV University. You can see they have a lot of different programs, professional and students from all around the world. They get these courses like Google, Intel, NVIDIA, Stanford, Microsoft, MIT, and so forth. You can see all of this good stuff that they have here, and you can go ahead and start learning right away from their courses. And of course, you will get certification as well, and you will learn a lot. So that being said, this is one of the sponsors of our bootcamp. The other sponsor is NVIDIA. And NVIDIA has asked us to explain what exactly have they recently launched. Now, they had a GTC 2024, and I made a video on that as well. If we go to YouTube, and if we go to my channel, then I made an explanation on NVIDIA's event because they released a lot of good things. It was about a few months ago. So this is the 5 things revealed at the NVIDIA's GTC 2024 AI event. So one of the things that was launched here that was not previously around was NVIDIA Nim. So NVIDIA Nim is a new platform that will allow you to deploy your applications very easily. So I will give a very, very simple explanation for that so that everyone can understand. Then later on, you can go ahead and research about that. You can see here, to be honest, Nim part of software development got me really excited. It is what I'll be looking to learn in vacations of college. So Nim is actually a great tool, and I will tell you why. Here we have the explanation of what exactly is Nim. The idea is that there is, for example, AI models like ChatGPT, like Gemini. Now these are closed sourced, which means you do not have the source files of OpenAI or let's say Gemini. So how can you use them if you want to use them in your own environment or if you want to use it in your own application. What you can do is you can take their API and they will charge you for it, right? Now, instead of doing that, you can use open source models. Now, open source models are like Llama. Then you have, this is from Facebook. Then there is Mistral, that is from a French company. So there are many open source models that are equally good as compared to other models that are closed source. So if you wanted to use those, you cannot just create it on your computer and host it on your computer so everyone can use it. So you have to host it somewhere. And NVIDIA Nim is a very great platform to allow you to host it. So that is a simple, very simple explanation of what it does. Later on, we'll look at a video of it as well. But for now, we are going to go ahead and start with our bootcamp. So again, if you want to learn more about it, you can go to NVIDIA NIMS for generative AI. This is within our platform. So you can go ahead and look at that. Sorry for late joining. I was busy. No problem. AI Master Program. That's no problem. Hopefully you will learn something today. So where can you get all of this? You can get it. You can go to our website and you can simply click on Bootcamp page and enroll. So I will just paste it here just in case you want to have a look at it. Okay, that being said, let's go ahead and get started with our bootcamp. So yesterday, we had installed our program, we had installed Python, we had installed PyCharm, and then we started with chapter 1, and then we started with chapter 2. Today, we are going to go ahead and get started with chapter 3, which will tell you a little bit more about Python, and we will learn a little bit more about the basics and the intermediate parts of Python programming. So let's get started, and let me add a poll. Are you ready? So let's see if you are ready or not. So I will wait for everyone to create a Python file. We will call it chapter 3 underscore intermediate. Mastermal says Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. How are you? And welcome. When are we going to see YOLO projects? So we will start with OpenCV a little bit, and then we will move on to some basics of YOLO as well. Given that everyone is able to understand, and most of you have completed the rest of it. So if that is true, then we will keep progressing based on how the students of this bootcamp are progressing. So please let me know in the chat if you have started. Send an emoji in the chat. Let me know that you are present and you are good to go. Are you going to teach OpenCV today or just Python? So we are going to start off with Python. If there is some good progress, who knows, we might even move on to OpenCV, but it depends on the time, how much time it will take. What is YOLO? YOLO is a kind of object detection model that allows you to detect objects very easily. So we will look into that later on. But for now, please send emojis. I really like emojis. So please send emojis in the chat. And that will let me know that you are present and ready to go. I'm done with my coffee, so we can get started. So the question comes, where are you from? I am from Mars, right next to Elon Musk. That's where I live. Oh, Sawaroop has sent a lot of emojis. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm late. What are we going to make today? So we are going to continue with Python, and hopefully it will be a lot of fun. Do you have voucher code for students? Right now, we have the voucher code for Bootcamp students. So if you are one of them, if you have enrolled, you can get access to that. So let's get started. Can you make your voice a little bit higher? If I start shouting, it will be difficult for me to do the next session. But yeah, I can bring the mic closer if that helps. Okay, so let's get started. Now, yesterday we understood the basic concept of Python, how we can write print hello world. Then we did some arithmetics where you can simply write 4 plus 5 and it should give you the answer. Then we understood about data types. Now, data types, if it's a string, it will be raw text. If it's numbers, we call it integer. For example, age or phone number, these are integers or numbers. Then Boolean is basically true or false. So then you can also have different name conventions. Now for Python, we use snake case, which is underscore between each of the words. Then in the list, you can create a list with different variables in it. So instead of declaring, for example, 3 variables here, you declared a variable my mobile, and inside that we have a list which has Samsung, True, and 499, which is exactly the same as this information with 3 different variables. So this is called a list. Then if you have different lists, you can call the list by giving it a number. So for example, you can say my fruits at number 3. This will be number 3 because we start from 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. And then we can simply save it in a variable. Then we can also ask a user to input some data by simply writing the input method or the input function. So if you hover over it, it will tell you that this is an input function that takes in an object, and it tells you the explanation of what this does. So this comes built in with Python, so we don't have to install anything to use this input. Okay, so that was a recap of what we did yesterday. So today we can create, what we will do is we will create a new list. So we will learn a little bit more about lists. So we will write here list functions. So like we had functions like input, the same way we have functions for list. Now what does that mean? That means that, for example, we have a list of age. Age underscore list equals, let's say this is our list. We have a number 52, we have a number 18. So we asked random people, what is your age, right? And we took all the data and we put it in a list. So someone was 52 years old, someone was 18 years old, someone was 30, 24, and 32. Now, let's say right now this list is of a particular size. If I wanted to know what is the size of this list, right now I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has 5 values. But what if it had 100 values? What if it had 1,000 values? What if it had 1,000,000 values? So, for example, in Facebook, we have billions of users now, right? So let's say there is a list in which all of the usernames or all of the user ages are stored within that list, right? So I cannot go and count each of those numbers. So what I can do is I can simply write the length of my age underscore list equals the length of age list. So I'm saying I'm calling the function length, and I want to call it on, this is the input parameter I'm giving as the age list. So it will give me the age list length, and it will store it in the variable length age list. Now, if we print this out, it will tell us that the value is 5, right? So if I right click and run this, there you go. So we got a 5. Is that clear? Is the concept clear of how can I use a function for the list? Now, okay, so that's good. That is clear. Now, what if I wanted to find, let's say I was talking about Facebook, right? And there are a billion users. And I want to find who is the youngest user and who is the oldest user on Facebook. How can I use functions to find it from this list? Let's say my list was age list, and I want to find the maximum value, I have given you a hint, the maximum value of the age within this list. What do you think should be the function? So it will be max. So if you think intuitively, then it should be maximum, right? I need the maximum value, but because it's a bit long, even max is quite easy to understand. That's why they used the term max. So if I wanted to find the maximum value in any list, I can write max, and I can put whatever list I want, I can put it inside that. So I will write here max, and it will give me the maximum value of the age. So here I can write max age list equals, and then I can write print max age list. So I can also write here oldest person is of age, and then the age, right? So I can put a comma here, and then I can write it like this. If I run this now, it will say oldest person is of age 52. Apply loop and perform check. That is good. Sort the list and take the first and last items. Yes, you can do that too. But these are a little bit more advanced, I would say. So we will go step by step, understand the basics, and move on. So this is the easiest way to approach this, right? So then the same way, if you wanted to do for minimum, so you will do the same thing. You will write here minimum age list equals minimum age list. So this age list is basically our list of ages, and the minimum value of it is stored over here. And then I can write it like this. I can write youngest person is of age, minimum age list. So if we run that, you can see oldest person is of age 52, youngest person is of age 18. So this way, we are able to find the answer very quickly, very easily, just by using minimum and maximum. Now, if you have done Excel or something else similar to this, they use similar functions to perform some calculations like this. So that's the basic idea of how you can use functions within our list. Now, there are other functions as well, and I would encourage you to go ahead and find out those different functions. Now, we can also make changes in the list. So let's say we have an example of fruits. So my fruits, they are equal to apple, banana, and cherry. So I have 3 fruits. So what if I wanted to add another fruit in it, right? So I want to add another fruit in the list. So this can be a to-do list as well. For example, clean the room, check the car water level, and then so on. And then you need to add something else, pick up something like that, then you can add to the list. So how exactly can you add? There is a function, there is a method for that. So what you can do, for example, if I wanted to add an orange, so I will write here my fruits dot add orange, right? So this will add an orange to the list. Now, unfortunately, the term add is not used. Now, intuitively, you would say that you would write my fruits dot add orange, right? But this is not the terminology or the syntax that Python uses. Instead of add, it uses append. So it's a fancy word which is not very commonly used, but that's what they use. And that's pretty much what this means. It means to add. So instead of add, we will write append, right? So then we will hit the run button, but nothing happens because I wrote the spelling wrong. It needs to be double P for append. My bad. So by the way, this is a good thing that we saw this error. And how did I know that this is the mistake? Because it showed me that list object has no attribute append. Then I'm thinking, wait, what is wrong with append? And then it gave me a suggestion as well. Did you mean append with double P? So yeah, that's correct. That is exactly what I meant. And one more thing that we did not discuss earlier is that when there is an error, most programs will tell you where is the error, because that makes it very easy for us to solve the problem. So here it is telling us the error is in line 13. So the error is in line 13. So where exactly is line 13? If we look at the numbering, this is 1, 2, 3, and so on. And at the end, we have our line 13. So we can see and tell that the problem is here, right? I hope that concept is clear. Append is split ring. It's ironic that you have written append wrong as well, along with wrong. I'm not mocking, I'm just saying it's a funny thing. But thank you. Yes, that was the mistake. I have corrected the append part. So there are many functions, but we use append. Yes. So there are many functions. Yes, true. So we are learning step by step what these functions are. So if I run this now, it appended, it added it, but why didn't it show? What's the problem? Why is it not showing? What is the problem? Why is it not showing? Exactly. So the print is missing. So we did not print anything. Now it did actually append it. It did actually add it to the list, but it's not showing us because we did not ask it to show us. So what we have to do is we have to write print, and we write my fruits. In fact, what we can do is we can print it before the append, and we can print it after the append, so that we can see, did it actually work? So if we run this now, you can see before the append it's apple, banana, cherry, and after the append it's apple, banana, cherry, and orange. So we have another term added. So that's the basic idea of how you can add to a list. Now, what if you wanted to remove from the list? So what if you wanted to remove this orange? You were like, okay, that's a mistake. Or maybe you wanted to remove banana. How can I remove it from the list? So imagine you are making a to-do list app, and sometimes you want to add a to-do part, and sometimes when you are done, you want to remove it from the list. So how can you do that? Now again, intuitively thinking, I would say my fruits dot remove, and then I will tell it to remove, let's say ID number this or this, right? But in Python, the easiest way to do is by writing pop. So it's like a balloon pop, right? So did I make that sound right? So yes, so you can write, the pop was great, thank you. So you can simply write the index number. So if you remember, we discussed index number yesterday. So if we look at this was our example, we were using fruits as well. So these are the index number. So for apple, it's 0. For banana, it's 1. For cherry, it's 2. And for the next one, it will be 3. So if I wanted to remove, let's say banana, then I will write here 1. So, and then I can write print, and then I can write my fruits. So now it will show me after removing as well. So if I print, you can see apple, banana, cherry, orange, and then apple, cherry, orange. In the last one, the banana has been removed. So my fruits dot remove 1. Yes. So I believe that works as well. But normally we use the pop method. Like most of the times you will see that we use pop. So what did it do? List not x not in list. List dot remove x. What is the input parameter that it gets? Any. First occurrence. So I believe you have to give it remove 1, not remove pop. Yeah, so I believe you have to give the value. So here you can write, let's say banana, and then it will remove that. So there you go. And it removed the banana as well. So again, there are so many functions and so many methods that not everyone, in fact, no one can memorize them. So how do you check and how do you learn them? Whenever you get to the point where you want to do something, you try to read the documentation about it. So for example, I did not remember what was the input for remove. So what I did, I just checked its documentation. When I hover over it, it tells me what exactly the function or the method is about. So it gives me some information. So within that information, I can guess what should be the input, what should be the output. So that's the idea. So please answer my question above. Did I miss a question? How do I run a single line, say line 13? Do I select and press a single line? I haven't tried that. And I don't believe, I think that that happens in MATLAB. So, and Scilab. I believe these are the two softwares that allow you to do this. But what you can do is you can enter a break. So the program will run till this part. So if I run this now, you can basically add this breaking point. So you can edit it and you can change the parameters, but for now we are not going to go into that much detail. Most of the times you can try it in different softwares. They have that functionality, but I don't believe PyCharm has that. I'm not sure. What do we call these types of functions in Python? So whenever you have something and then you have a dot, any function after the dot is called a method. I believe if you hover over it, it will tell you that. Does it tell you? No. I thought it will. But it's called a method. So if you have a dot and you have something after the dot, it's a method. Jupyter Notebook also runs single line. Yes, that can also run. But I have seen in my experience, running single line is not very feasible when you are writing actual code. So it might be for learning, but when you are writing actual code, then it's not a good idea, because sometimes the variables are saved, sometimes they are not saved, sometimes you have to repeat the code, so you will have to run it again and again anyhow. So there can be a lot of problems. So please, why when we use remove it, just remove one node? If we have element same value, it just removes the first. So if you want to remove more, you can write your own custom one, or you can, I believe there will be some input argument for this, that even if you have multiples, you can remove that. Yeah, mostly in data science, when you have loaded the data, and then you have to run single lines again and again, then that's useful. Otherwise, I have not seen it to be very useful. Okay, moving on, we will remove that and we'll make it pop. So for now, for basics, I don't want to jump ahead. For basics, we are going to use pop, and if you wanted to remove, you can remove with the index number. So these are index numbers. So we can write here index numbers. And we can bring them back. So next on, what do we have? We have slicing. So what is slicing? Basically, if you wanted to get only parts of the list, So for example, you wanted to get apple and banana, or let's say we add another one. Let's say we add lemon, and let's say we add another one, mango. So now it will become a little bit easier. Then it will be easy. So what we can do is we can write here that if I wanted only, let's say, banana and cherry, what can I do to get a list out of that list? So if I wanted just one value, I can write here my fruits at 1, right? At 1, that will give me the value of, let's say, banana, right? That will give me the value of banana. But what if I wanted banana, cherry, and lemon? What can I do? What I can do is I can say start from 1 and then move on till number 4 if I wanted to get till 3. Now this is a little bit confusing, so let me write it down here. So we have index 4 values, right? So I will remove all of these so that it's not confusing. We will comment this. If you remember, you can select all of that, control and slash, then it will comment all of that. So if this is my list and I wanted to get from banana and lemon, so I will write 1 to 4 because 3 is exclusive. And if I print this out, this is what we get. So the last value you put here, we wrote 4, and you might think mango will be included, but it's not included. The last one is excluded, which means it will not be part of the list, but the first one is included, which will be part of the list. So it's a little bit confusing, but you can get used to that. Big fan of you. I have a problem. I'm trying to make exe file. I use Py to exe and Py installer is not getting assist. So we can fix that later on. Right now we are working on the bootcamp. So yeah, we will look into that later on. Can you use a remove with index? So probably you can. Yes, probably you can. So here, once we have that, now if I wanted to, let's say, get apple to cherry, what should be my code? I wanted to get from apple to cherry. Can anyone tell me what will be my code? So we have a lot of answers. Semicolon 2, 0, semicolon 3, 0, semicolon 3, 0, semicolon 2, semicolon, oh, not semicolon, colon 2. So the answer is, if you want to get from apple to cherry, you will write 0 to 2. No, you have to write till 3 because 3 will not be included. So you have to write 0 to 3. Now if I run it, you will see it's apple, banana, cherry. Apple, banana, cherry, right? Now, another way to do this is that you can remove the 0 as well. So if you are starting from 0, then even if you remove the 0, it will still work. Now, this is a little bit advanced, but it's not that difficult to get used to. So if I run this now, it will give me the same answer, apple, banana, cherry. So whether you write a 0 or you don't write, it's the exact same thing. So is this clear? Next up, we are going to move on to dictionaries. So before we do that, I want to know that is the concept of list, or the concept of list, clear? So if anyone has any questions, please let me know and I will try to answer those. Again, related to the bootcamp, not generic questions. Please make sure that you follow along with the bootcamp rather than some other questions. So we have some questions. How can we reverse the order of contents of list? First becomes last. Now, there are different methods you can achieve this. Some of them are built in within Python, and some of them you can do it yourself. Now we are going to learn a concept of loops. Once we understand that, I will encourage you to do it by yourself. Rather than relying on someone else's code, I would want you to do the code for yourself. So that will be interesting to see. So stay tuned and we will learn about that as well. Just remind me when we do the loops, just remind me of this question again, and then we can do that. How can we print last three elements of the list? So you can print the last three elements as well. Again, you have built-in functions and you can use the loops to do that as well. But nowadays, the best way to approach this is once you know the basics of programming, simple questions like this, you can simply add by asking ChatGPT. So, for example, let's go to ChatGPT. That's why I believe these AI models are revolutionary, because you do not have to spend a lot of time searching of what exactly is the right answer to your exact problems. So right now you have a very generic question, but what if you had a very specific question? Even in that case, it will help you out. So for example, we have ChatGPT 4.0, and I will write the same questions that you have asked. How can you print the last three elements of a list in Python? So there you go. Now it will tell us, it will give us an example of how exactly can you do that. Now this is the built-in functionality where it is showing that you can write -3. You can start from -3 till the end. That's how it is doing. Why is it giving in C#? Did we ask in C#? I believe that's the output, but why is it showing C#? Never mind. But yeah, this is how you can do self-learning. Now, of course, You don't know everything, but if you know the basics of programming, then you can get started. If it says I am late today, it's okay. You can continue whatever we have done so far. You can do it later on, but you can start with the concepts of what we have done so far, what we will be doing now. Yeah, so, and then again, as I mentioned, there are other methods that you can do it yourself. Then I can ask it, use a custom function to do this, right? And I can ask ChatGPT to create that custom function. So now it will use a loop or it will use if statement to actually find it. So you can use that method as well. Now, we also have the question of how can we reverse the order of context of a list in Python? So here it is showing that we have the reverse method. We can use that to reverse it, or you can use slicing to reverse it as well, or you can use your own loop. For example, I can ask it use a loop instead. So depending on what makes you more comfortable, you can use any of these methods. But again, this is a little bit more complicated, so we are not going to go into that much detail for now. But what I want you to know is that after this AI revolution, learning programming is very easy. Now, it will not solve everything for you, but it will help you learn along the way. Okay, what's the timing of session? My mother is scolding me for sitting late night. So tell her that I'm learning. Learning is the key to success. Tell her, did I say her or him? Tell her that I'm learning. Okay, so next up, we have dictionaries. So what are dictionaries? So earlier, what we did, if we go to chapter 2, basics, we saw that when we had an information, for example, name is Murtaza, age is 30, is male, is true. So these are the three properties of a human being, right? Let's say we want to save these properties of different human beings. Now, these three are linked together. What I can do is I can put them in a list, like I did in this example. Mobile is Samsung, then is it launched, and what is the price? But right now you can see, I can tell by looking at it, okay, this is a name, but what is true or false? I don't know. If I did not code this, I would not know what do you mean by true. And then I would not know what is 499. Is it a code? Is it a price? What exactly is it? So instead, we should have what exactly is it, right? We should have something which says that the name is Murtaza, age is 30, and Ismail is true. So we should have a reference of that variable as well, stored all of it in one place. Now, again, it's a little bit hard to imagine, so I will show you what do I mean. So I will write here dictionaries. So I can say that person 1 equals Murtaza, age is 30, and Ismail is true. Now this is an example of a list, right? So this is what we have learned. Now the problem here is, as I mentioned, I can tell this is a name, but I don't know what is 30. I can guess it's an age, but when it comes to true, I have absolutely no idea what this is. What dictionaries do is they allow you to assign it a name as well. So instead of writing person 1 Murtaza, what I can write person 1, let's say dictionary, and this is person 1 underscore list. I can write, this is confusing, so I will remove that. I can write these two brackets, curly brackets. These are called curly brackets. They are for dictionaries. Square brackets are for lists. So in the dictionary, instead of writing, I can write here Murtaza, but instead of writing Murtaza, I will write that the property name is Murtaza. So now I know that name is basically Murtaza. And then I can write that the age is 30. And I can write that is male. So I can write it capital. This is just English. Is male is true. So instead of writing Murtaza 30 and true, now I have a key and a value. You can say a name and a value, a name and a value, and a name and a value. So I have a key and a value. In technical terms, we call it key and value. You can also call it name and value. That's up to you. So here we have name is Murtaza, age is 30, is male is true. Now, from these two, which one do you think is easier to understand? Is the list easier or the dictionary, is that easier? So the answer is dictionary. Most of you are saying dictionary, and that's true because dictionary, you can tell what exactly are we referring to. But the question comes, then why use list? We can always use dictionaries, right? The answer is no, because sometimes when you have something that is similar in nature, for example, all of them are names, then you can put it in a list. For example, I can write here names equal, then it's better to have a list. You have Murtaza, you have Sarah, you have John. So all of these are names, and then I can tell that this is a list of names. But if you have different properties assigned to a single thing, a single object, then it's better to use a dictionary. So for example, I can write person 1 dictionary is this, and then I can also write person 2 dictionary, the name is, let's say, Sarah, the age is 25, and is male is false. So this way I have the information of person 1 all stored in one variable in one dictionary, and information of person 2, all of it stored in dictionary 2. Maybe use a list when the things are not classified. So yeah, this is the example where you can use a list when all of the things are pretty much the same. So if it's all names, all ages, everything is pretty much the same, then yeah, you can use a list. Then it's better to use a list. So then what we can do, how can we call, for example, when we used a list, we referred to the list by index number. So for example, if we wanted this value, we will say my fruits at 0, like this. Where is it? Did we remove it? You can write a bracket around it, and you can write 1 like this. and you can write 0 or 1 or 2. But how do you get the value from a dictionary? So I can write person1 dictionary, and then instead of giving a number 0 or 1 or 2, I will write what key do you want. So these are called keys, 1, 2, 3. These are keys, and these are the values. So I want the key, I want to know what is the age of person 1. So I will write here age. So I will write here age. So that will give me the age of person 1. So if I print it here, and if we run this now, you will see that the age of person 1 is 30. So dictionary seems more practical. Yes, it is practical in a lot of cases, but sometimes when you don't need a lot of information, then you can use lists as well. So whatever you want, you can write here. For example, I need the age of person 1, and then I need the name of person 2. So if I run this now, it will tell me that the name of person 2 is Sarah. So that's how easily you can get the information. You can store information and get used to of the information. So next up, what we are going to do, is this clear? Is the concept of dictionaries clear to everyone so that we can proceed? So HS Maths sent an emoji of a window. So it says yes window. So that means yes clear. I'm guessing that is what this means. By the way, just confirm, what quality of video are you getting? What is the stream quality that you are getting right now? $720 full HD, very clear. $720 HD, 1080, $720. Okay, so we are at 1080 as well. So that's good. Okay, good. So next on, we are going to move on to if statements. So what exactly is an if statement? I would say that if statements are the pillars of programming. Two things that are very important: if statements and loops. Pretty much every code has if statements and loops to run it. So what is an if statement? An if statement is a very simple statement that if this happens, it will execute it. If that does not happen, it will execute something else. So for example, I can write if 3 is greater than 2, then print anything. Yes, let's say. If 3 is greater than 2, print yes. So if we run that, you will see we will get a yes. And similarly, if that is not the case, we can write else print no. So if we run this now, right now it will print yes. But if we reverse this, if we do this, if 3 is less than 2, then it will say no. So it depends on this statement whether it's true or not. So this statement can be anything. So whatever you add as a statement here, the answer should be true or false. So it should be a Boolean. So if it is true, it will show this. It will run this part. If it's false, it will run this part. Now, for example, now that we understand a little bit more bigger picture of lists and if statements, we will take a practical example. What we will do is we will take an example of a computer store that has a lot of different things in its stock. So we will write here stock equals, we have keyboard, we have mouse, we have headphones, we have monitor. So let's say this is a list of all the inventory that is available in our computer store. How can we run false statement first, then else run the true statement? You reverse this. So you can get true and false switched. So this stock has keyboard, mouse, headphones, monitor, right? Now what we can do is we need to check what is present in this, right? So we can ask the user to give us a product name. So we can write product name equals input, enter the product name. So then once we have the product name from the user, it's like you are going to a store or you are going to a website and you type in, let's say, mouse, and it will tell you, is there a mouse in stock or not, right? So here you can write enter the product name, and then we are going to check if our product name, whatever the person gives here, if our product name product underscore name in stock. So you can see it's literally English, right? You are writing if product name is in stock, right? It's just the grammar is wrong, but you can tell that this is what exactly is happening. So we are saying that if the product name is present in this stock, then you will print product is available, right? Otherwise, you can write else print product is not available. So do you see how good and how easy it is to run an if statement, how useful it can be? You can pretty much use this at the back end of a website where a user searches for this and you can tell whether it's available or not. So here you can run, and here it will ask you enter the product name. Can you see this in the chat? Yeah, you can see enter the product name. So here you are going to write, for example, mouse. So if I press enter, it will say product is available. Then if I run it again and I write, let's say I write mic, so which is short for microphone. If I write that, it will say product is not available. So that's how if statements they work. So if the product is available, if it's in stock, it will print this part. If it's not available, it will print this part. So that's how you can run this. In this case, is the uppercase and lowercase matter? Does Python can be used in website backend? To answer the first question, yes, the upper and lower case, they do matter. So if I write, for example, if I write mouse, it will say product is not available. In that case, you can write mouse, right? So you can add both the types and it will check. Now, this is a hard-coded method, which is not advisable, but that's the easiest way to do it. Now, to make it always like this, so that even if the person writes like this, or they write it like this, what can you do? Will you write mouse 5 times? No, you will not, because that's not very feasible. So what you can do instead is you can, yes, you already, people are suggesting that in the chat that you can use the lower method to do that. So whatever you get in the product name, you will use that in the lower case, right? So you will remove it and you can use that. So for both of these, you have to use lowercase. So for stock as well, so you will write keyboard, mouse, and headphones, and monitor. And then whenever the product name comes from the user, you will change it to lowercase. So you will write here product underscore name equals product underscore name dot lower. So it will convert it into lowercase, and then it will always tell us whether it has or not. So in this case, if I write MOU capital S and E. If I write mouse and then I hit enter, it will say product is available. So even if I change the capital letters, it still says that it is true. Is that clear? Can we change the stock to all lowercase? Yes, you can do that by manually doing it. Right now they are all lowercase. You can also do it with code, where you can use dot lower when you are comparing and so on. So in this case, I want to run true statement in false. What setting need in if statement? So you can write if product name not in stock, then you can write mouse and it will say product is not available. So it is reversed. So the order has been reversed. So you can simply write not. So that's why Python is so simple, because I'm literally writing English, not in if, else. This is English, right? It's not that much difficult to understand. Even if somebody does not know coding, they can read this statement and tell what it's doing, because it's so simple. But again, we don't need to write this. This is just the answer to one of the questions in the chat. So next up, we are going to learn about loops. So there are many types of loops. Now, the most common one that we will be using a lot is the for loop. So if we write here, for loop, so this means that you repeat the process again and again. Now, there might be a lot of cases where you want to use this. For example, you want to go through all of the stock values and check what is the quantity of each one of them. Or if you wanted to check the ages of all the different people that have input their data, and lots of other examples. So what we will do is we will write a simple example. We will write for x in range from 0 to, let's say, 5. So it will loop 5 times, and then we can simply write the value of x, print the value of x. Now let me explain what this does. So it is telling that for 5 times, from starting from 0 to 5, keep looping and keep running the code. If I write 10 different lines of code, it will run all the 10 lines. So if I write this 10 times, it will run it 10 times again and again. So each time it runs it will run all of this code. Then it will go to the second iteration, it will run all of that. Then the third iteration, and it will run all of that. And each time the value of x will change. For the first loop, the value of x will be 0. For the second loop, the value of x will be 1. For the third loop, the value of x will be 2, and so on. So if I run this now, it will give me all the values of the loops. So if I run this, you will see we need to remove enter input, because if we keep that, it will always ask us to input something. So we can remove all of the code that we have written so far, and we can press Control and slash, and it will comment it. So if we run this now again, you will see we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you remember, the last value is not included, it's excluded from the iteration. This was also seen when we did list slicing. So here, when we did slicing, you remember, if we wanted till lemon, we have to ask till number 4. You have to give one more than what is required. So it can be a little bit difficult to understand in the beginning, but once you get used to it, it can be very easy. So here you will see it will go from 0 to 5. If you wanted till 5, you will write 6. Then it will give you till 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the idea. Is X just a convention, sir? Can we say Z? Yes, you can write anything you want here. Here you can write A, B, C, D. You can pretty much write anything you want, and you can write A, B, C, D. And it will give you this same answer again. So X is just a convention, as you mentioned. Sometimes people use I, sometimes they use J. I is the most common. In Python, X is the most common. In C++, I and J are very common. Now, let's say we had a list. We can also loop through that list. For example, let's take this list. The list here is of names. So the names are Murtaza, Sarah, and John. So this is a list, and we want to loop through all the list. And let's say we want to change the list a little bit. Instead of Murtaza, we want to write Murtazas. Instead of Sarah, we want to write Sarahs, right? So we want to add that. So how can we do? We can loop through each one of these, and then we can change the value of it. How can we do that? We can use the for loop. So we can say for name in names. So this time around, we did not write for X in range. We said that take one name from the list and add it to the variable name. In the next loop, the name will become Sarah. This name will become Sarah. In the next loop, the name will become John. So this is all the names. This is a list of all the names, and this is a variable in which these names will be stored. So if I write here print name, one by one, it will print Murtaza, Sarah, and John. So if I run this now, you can see it says Murtaza, Sarah, and John. Right? So what can we do? Now we want to add our value. We want to change this value. Instead of Murtaza, we want to write Murtazas. For Sarah, we want to write Sarahs. So how can we do that? We can simply write that the names at index number 0 is equal to Murtaza, whatever the name is, right now the name, plus we will write S, right? So we are writing it like this. So it will add this S next to it. Now the problem is that if we run this now, it will do it correctly for Murtaza because we are asking it to do it for the names at 0. But it will not do it for Sarah or John. If we run this now, and if we print names, you will see it says John's, Sarah, and John. So because the last name was John's, it added it in this index. So this index is not changing. It always stays at 0. So we need to do something. Maybe we can write the name here, right? If we run that, you will see it gives us an error because that is not how lists work. This is how dictionaries work. This is not how list works. So instead of the term 0, we need the loop number. So how can we get the loop number? We can write here enumerate and enumerate. What's the spellings are wrong. And we can write here X. So now we can change this value of 0 to X. So what this will do, it will not only give us all the names within our list, it will also give us the iteration number like it did before. So that's the idea. Enumerate. Did I write something wrong? Enumerate. Yeah, the spellings. I'm very bad at spellings. So yeah, because Python was not helping us. Sorry, PyCharm was not helping us with auto correction. So sometimes it should. So anyway, so enumerate. So then we can move through all the numbers and it will keep adding based on the loop number. So here you can see it says Murtaza's, Sarah's, and John's. So that's the basic idea. So here we can write car and then it will add it to all of those. So Murtaza's car, Sarah's car, John's car. So basically we are looping through all the names and it is storing the name over here, which is used as a variable. And then we are changing based on the index number. So first iteration, this will be 0. Second iteration, it will be 1. Third, it will be 2, and so on. That's the idea. So this is how you can use the loops. Now, if you wanted to sir, why can't we just can we simply add this when we using print? When we're using print, do you mean like this? Print names and then we add plus car. So this is what we will get. An error, because you cannot just add a string to a list. So it doesn't work that way. Why add two variables x and name? So right now we are just giving an example that if we wanted to change, for example, all of the list to S, we wanted to add an S and a car with it for all of these. So in that case, we can add it like this. If you wanted to change, you can do that as well. The print in the for loop. Yeah, you can add print in the for loop as well. You can write print name, and that will do pretty much the same thing, but it will not show in a list. So if we remove this, it will not show in a list. So it will be separate like this. In fact, we need to show this. Murtaza's car, Sarah's car, or John's car. If we do directly like name equals name plus S, will it work? No. Okay, this is a very good point, and it's very important to understand this. When you declare something here, this is a variable, this is a variable. This is only valid inside this loop. It cannot understand outside the loop. For example, if I write name here, it will not understand this. So right now, the name is the last value that it got. This was not declared before it. So the variables that you declare here should only be used inside this loop after this space. It should not be used after the loop or before the loop. So in theory, you cannot do this. Name equals name plus cars. You cannot do that. If you run this, it will not work. Print names. So you can see it's exactly the same. Because we did not change anything in the names. We just changed this variable during the loop. We did not change later on. The function enumerate is giving us the x value 0, 1, 2, 3. If we don't add this enumerate, it will run the loop, but it will not give us the value of x. So we will not know which variable index to change. Should we change 0? Should we change 1? Should we change 2? Which one to change? So that is what we need from here. Yes, in means whether no, it doesn't mean check whether it's present or not. It says get all the values from it, from the list. It's not checking. This in is not checking, it's getting the values. So the concept of loops is a little bit difficult. So is the concept of loops clear for everyone? Let's create that poll. Means the number inside the list. What do you mean by that? If we remove name in first line of for loop, if we remove name here, okay, nothing will happen. So right now we will not have the variable name, and then let me explain the concept again. So if you write, for example, names, name, and if you don't write enumerate, this simply means that we are getting each value from this list. So first it will get Murtaza, second it will get Sarah, third it will get John. So that is what it's doing. It's getting this, this, and this. Now, in order to change, for example, if I wanted to change Murtaza to Murtazas, if I wanted to do that without the loop, forget about the loop. If I wanted to do that, what can I do? I will write here names at 0 equals names at 0 plus space or no space and s. So forget about all of this And let's just talk about this. So if I wanted to change Murtaza to Murtaza's car, let's say, I can write it like this. Now, if I print names, it will say Murtaza's car, right? Now, if I wanted to do it for Sarah, what can I do? I will copy this and I will paste it and I will write here 1 and 1 because names at 1 is Sarah and I want to change names at 1 plus this. So if I run this now, it will be Murtaza's car and Sarah's car. Now, if I wanted to do it for John, I will copy and paste it again and I will write here 2 and I will write here 2. And now all of these will be changed to John's car, Sarah's car and Murtaza's car, right? Is this part clear? Can you confirm that this part is clear? Right? Okay. So this part is clear. Now you can see that this names is same for all the statements. This names is all same for all the statements. This plus and this is same for all the statements. The only thing that is different is this value. First it's 0, then it's 1, then it's 2. Right? So then it will be different. So what we need to do, we need to loop 3 times and every time we can change this value. So we can say this is x. First time x will be 0. So it will be 0 here and 0 here. Then x second time will be 1. So it can be like this. X and x. Right? Is that clear? So now all I need to do is change the value of x each time. Right? So I can write here for x in range 0 to 3. So we need 0, 1 and 2. So that's why we will write 0 to 3 and we will push this inside. So the for loop, whatever is in the for loop needs to be inside that for loop. So this is, it needs a little bit of space. We need to press tab here. This is 4 spaces or tab, which is known as indentation. If you remember in the very beginning, we learned about indentation. So I hope this is clear now that if we run this loop, then it will change all the names. Right? So if I print names, then even if I don't run this part, it will not add cars, only it will add cars over here. So here if I run it, you can see Murtaza's car, Sarah's car and John's car. Is the concept of looping clear now? Now, this is one way to do it. The other way to loop is through the values here, because right now I know that the value the list value is 3. That's why I can write 0 and 3, right? But what if I don't know the value? I don't know how many people enrolled, or I don't know how many ages are in the list. I don't know. Maybe I ran a software and all the day people entered their value and I don't know how many values are there. In that case, I cannot use this loop. I cannot use this loop because I don't know how many values are inside this names. Because even if I add one more, if I add here, let's say Hassan, and I run this now, it will not add cars to Hassan. Because right now we are just saying add from 0 to 3. So that is not a good way to code, because if there is a change in the list, then it will not reflect in your code. Right? So that's why we were using the previous method, which was instead of looping from 0 to 1, we will loop through the values. So here we will write for name in names, we can write this. Now, if I have 5 names, it will loop through 5 times. If I have 10 names, it will loop through 10 times. If I have 20 names, it will loop through 20 times. But the problem is, we do not have the value of x. We do not know the number, iteration number. That's the problem. So, in order to get that iteration number, we can write here x and then enumerate. Enumerate. Yes, you can use the length of names as well, but we are trying to use the different method where we get we get the data as well and we get the ID as well. Because if you do the way you are saying length, the name of lengths, then you will not get the actual value. Here we are getting the actual value stored in the name. So this here, instead of writing names x, we can write here name, and then it will run the same way, and it will now add it to Hassan's car as well. So again, this can be a little bit confusing if you are a beginner, but if you try it out a few times, you can get used to it. It's not that difficult. All you need is a little bit of practice. So now moving on, we are going to go ahead and loop through a dictionary. So it's very easy to loop through a dictionary. Let's say we have a dictionary in which we have fruit stock. So we have orange. The quantity of oranges is 5. The quantity of apples is 56. The quantity of lemons is 65. So in order to get these values, and in order to loop through all of them and get the values, we cannot do for x, for let's say key or name and value in fruit stock print name and value. So we cannot do that. If we run this now, it will give us an error. Because earlier we were doing this. We were writing it like this. For name in names, we can do that for list. But for For dictionaries, we have to write for name and value in fruit stock dot items. That's the only difference. Now it should be able to run and it will loop through all of these and it will give you the value of orange is 25, the value of apple is 56, lemons is 65. So for example, we can write, we have, let's say, 25 oranges in stock. So a good way to write it is using an F string. An F string is very simple, in which normally if you write a string, so for example, I will write my sentence equals, we have many fruits, right? And then if I want to add, let's say the fruit name, we can write it like this. We have plus, we have value plus, we have the name plus the S and then in the stock. Now you can see this is a little bit difficult and tedious. So this will work, but it will not work very well. And plus there will be an error because the value is number, it's a integer, and the name is a string. So you can add strings, but you cannot add integers. So if I run this, it will give us an error because we need to convert this into string. If we do that now, it will say, we didn't print the sentence. So we need to print sentence. So if we run that, it will say we have, we need to add a space. And we need to add a space in between here as well. So we need to write plus space plus name. So if we run this now, so it will say we have 25 oranges in stock. We have 56 apples in stock. So you can do it like this, but you can see it can get very complicated after a while. So a better way to do this is using an F string. An F string is very easy. Sentence underscore F. Let's say this is an F string sentence. So we can write F and then within our quotation marks, double quotes, we can write anything we want. If it is a variable, we write it in curly brackets. Otherwise, we write it as plain English. So we can write it like this. We have value, for example, 25, then space, then name, then S in stock. So as you can see, this is much simpler to write because we can add more spaces, we can remove spaces, we can add variables. We did not have to convert it into string. It will automatically do that. So it is much easier to use an F string because we don't have to write plus, we don't have to write string, we don't have to write plus for space and all of that. So we can write many spaces here, we can write dash 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 and it will print as it is. So that's the basic idea. So here we can write we have this and this will work exactly the same. So if we run this now, you can see we have 25 oranges in stock and we did not print the F statement. Sentence F. So as you can see, both of them are same. We have 25 oranges in stock. We have 25 oranges in stock. So it's exactly the same. So using an F string is very useful and very important. Is that clear? So let's end the previous poll and we'll start a new poll. Yes, very window. Very clear. Okay, that's good. So is everything clear so far? When are we going to start build the website? So we only have a few topics left, and then we will start building our website. So we have one topic more, and probably we are going to finish that topic tomorrow. And right after we finish, we will start with the website. So we will not wait. How many days is the bootcamp? So we have a curriculum that we are following. So it doesn't matter how many days it takes. So it can take 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 10 days. Depends on how fast you guys understand and go. Do you know reinforcement learning? So I believe that is a little bit advanced for this bootcamp. Yes, tomorrow will be the same time as today. So whatever we study today, you will have the all of the information in what do you call the page, the bootcamp page. You can access that and make sure that you go and check out NVIDIA's Nim. So it is very important. It is very useful if you are planning to deploy any of your AI ideas. So it will make your life a lot more easier if you don't want to use ChatGPT or Gemini. You want to use your own model in your own project, then this is the way to go. And I'm not just saying that because they are hosting this platform. They are sponsoring this platform, but it is actually true. It's very simple to get started. You can go down, you can read about it, and here you can see NVIDIA API catalog. You can click on that and it will take you to NVIDIA's website where you can see all of that. And it will allow you to look at all the different generative AI models that they have. So they have a lot of these. So if you go to, this is the explanation. There is an explore option. If you go to build now, you will be able to see a lot of different models. So here you can see you have Llama 370B, Gamma 2, you have Nemotron and Nemotron, Mixtral, and all of these. So you can basically click on that and you can start right away. So this is how you can interact with it. This is the code that is required to run this. It's in Python and you can see it's just literally a few lines of code. You can get your API key from here. You will get a lot of free credits if you use this link. So it will be very easy to deploy it for professional use, for production. This is one of the easiest ways to get your model up and running. Can you please change the time of the bootcamp? Unfortunately, that will not be possible for this one, but for later on, for the next bootcamps, we can consider pushing it a little bit back. So that is pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for joining. It was a great session and I hope you understood whatever we studied. If there is something that is not clear, you can always ask in the comments. You can ask in the chat section And this was day 2, and tomorrow will be day 3. We will continue, and don't forget you are getting 20% off in our courses. Just click on this part and you will get the secret coupon code which you can utilize. And do check out the NVIDIA Nim as well. So thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow.